Welcome to Firearms of America. Today, as you guys can see, I have another pair of something from La Sportiva. Yes, over the past few weeks, I became a huge fan of La Sportiva. So let's see what we got this time. Let's see if this is as good. And these are La Sportiva Bushido II. I don't know why I said it was Japanese accent. It just sounds Japanese. Anyway, let me tell you guys. Absolutely fantastic trail running, mountain running shoe. I am in love with it. In fact, I don't know which one I like better, these ones or the Wildcat. I think it might be these ones. Extremely light, very, very comfortable, tighter fit. Keep that in mind if you prefer a more of a spacious toe box fit, might not be your type. Ortholite inner sole, my favorite. I like it a lot. Overall, a great shoe. The only thing, if you don't have time to watch the whole review, to kind of give you something useful, right, to take away from this few minutes or seconds, whatever, they do run a little bit on the smaller side. So I would recommend going maybe with half a size or maybe even a whole size bigger. But if you do have time to watch the whole review, which if you are considering to buy this, make sure to do watch the whole review. If you do, let's get into it. As some of you already know, this review is specifically for my Ultimate Survival Boots section. Yes, so if these La Sportiva trail running shoes, mountain running shoes were the shoes that you were wearing, right? And something bad happened and now you had to run, climb, fight, I don't know, not take off these for days until you get to the safety, right? Survival. Think about the survival situation. Hey, 2020 was pretty crazy. I mean, it's not over yet. We got the full months to survive, if we survive. Would this be good for your survival? Well, let's get into it. Yes, this is serious. Let's get into it. We have 8 different criteria that we judge based on. The very first one, of course, the comfort level. Yes, one of the most important ones, right? If you're wearing them for a very long time, if you are running, if you are walking for extended distances, comfort is important, obviously. So, in order to test the comfort level of all the shoes, all the boots that I review on this channel, even the ones that are you wouldn't expect to walk for a long time or run, especially, I still do it. I still do a 3-mile run and a 5-mile walk without stopping, and then I continue wearing these for the rest of the day, about 7 to 8 hours, usually total wear time. And like I said, these ones right here, absolutely fantastic whenever it comes to running, whenever it comes to walking for however much you want, really. If you want something that is lightweight, you can walk for extended periods of time, great option. And there are a few factors, of course, that contribute to that comfort level. And the very first one, of course, is the weight. And this is right here, size 10. 11. Wow. Wow, this is impressive. This is probably one of the lightest trail running shoes, obviously lighter than any kind of boot, but probably one of the lightest trail running shoes that I had on this channel. 11, that is extremely impressive. Now, to give you a reference, whenever it comes to the numbers in general, right? If you want something that you can walk for extended periods of time, I mean, 15 miles a day, that's what I consider. Anything above 10 miles a day, I consider extended periods of time, distances. I mean, obviously you will get fatigued, right, from walking or from running, because it's, you are putting in the energy, so you will get fatigued regardless. But if you want to not get fatigued from extra weight on your feet, right, so it feels like you're pretty much not wearing anything, you want something that is under 20 ounce. And the more under 20 ounce it is, the easier it is for walk for extended periods of time, and especially to run. This right here is 11. That is like almost half of 20. And I mean, that's just really, I've done hundreds of reviews, and this is really something very, very impressive. For everything that these shoes offer, which we'll talk about later, I mean, that is very, very impressive. That is a great weight. If you prefer lightness, this is just fantastic. But there are a few other factors that contribute to the comfort level. One of them is the flexibility of the bottom sole. Obviously, if you run or do anything remote to close to running, right? You understand that the more flexible the outsole is, the easier it is to run properly without putting any stress on your ankles and on your knees. And here, just look at that. I mean, there is really nothing to it because you have this very, very hard rubber, but it is very thin, so it gives you some protection from, penetration from the bottom if you're running over sharp rocks, which we'll talk about later. But you also have this layer right here of the protective rubber, which creates protection, but at the same time does not compromise the flexibility. I mean, overall, the combination is very impressive. I do love it. Fantastic. But let's move on to the next factor that contributes to the comfort level. It is, already mentioned in the beginning, is the inner sole right here. Yes, inner sole is the ortholite. Now, ortholite, they are not specifically popular for being super cushiony, memory foamy, nothing like that. Really, for the most part, it's very basic. There's not much to it, right? But what they are popular for is the antibacterial qualities, right? So if you're running and if your feet are sweating and stuff like that, this right here, it prevents the bacteria from spreading. Pretty good. And of course, you see that there is a heel bed here. There's a good arch support, which is very nice to see. Overall, that gives you a very good hold. Very helpful, especially whenever you're running. But that's not it. You also have another layer, which is that jelly type of layer right here, which in combination with the ortholite and this gives you very, very sufficient amount of impact protection. Very good. And of course, you probably noticed there is some padding on the tongue here, so this does not rub against your shins. Very good. There isn't much of the padding on the sides. You don't really need that. This is fine. And inside of the toe box, you have that nice padding as well, so it feels very, very soft. And also I wanted to mention there is some additional padding on the tongue here at the bottom. So overall, whenever it comes to comfort, I mean, just fantastic job, La Sportiva. How the hell did you do it? Fantastic job. The only thing whenever it comes to comfort is the sizing. Make sure you get in the right size so that your toe is not smashing at the front of the toe box here, because that will take away from the comfort. You don't want that. All right, so I think I'm done here with the comfort. Overall, if this was, a 10 out of 10 thing, judging by, from 0 to 10, the comfort level, this would be the 10 out of 10. All right, let's move on to the criteria number 2, proofing and protection. Now, proofing-wise, there is really not much to talk about here. These are not waterproof. Honestly, whenever it comes to the trail running shoes, I don't see much point of having waterproof trail running shoes, just because there is really no distance that gives you that waterproofing. If you're running, if you step in a puddle, just a tiny little splash and you get water inside of the shoe, and your whole waterproofing goes out of the window. So by getting a non-waterproof trail running shoe, you not only save money, obviously, because non-waterproof would be cheaper than waterproof, but also most of the times they're more breathable and lighter. And that means that if you do get a water inside, which you probably will if you're running through anything wet, it's much faster for the shoe or the boot, whatever, for the shoe most of the times to dry up. I'm saying for the shoe most of the times because with the boot you have that shaft that gives you some more or less reasonable distance from the ground for waterproofing, unlike in the shoe. But let's move on to the protection. Now, of course, because this is a lightweight trail running shoe, you don't have a lot of protection. You do have some reinforced, more or less, rubber piece here at the front. I think what would have been a little bit of a better job here from La Sportiva, guys, if you're watching this, if you ever want to make a Bushido 3, right? I recommend doing a little bit of extension here of the same rubber that goes up here, just to give a little bit of extra protection in the toe box. That is very helpful whenever you're running on the rocky road, because you're running on the rocky road. something, I mean, obviously it's not gonna give you anything serious, but some light impact might be helpful. Of course, nothing to talk about in the ankles, no protection there. The heel is reinforced, but it is mostly reinforced for support and not for protection. So keep that in mind. You do have, I know it looks like it's just this little thin outsole here, but you do have some rubber protection here on the sides as well. And like I mentioned, this outsole is very, very good. It gives you some pretty good protection from the bottom. Stepping on the sharp rocks, you are protected there. So overall, proofing and protection, not much to brag about here. These are really, for people who prefer lightness, and not for people who prefer protection, because with protection you most of the time sacrifice lightness. Keep that in mind. Let's move on to the criteria number 3, the quality and the design features. Now, quality wise, La Sportiva, they have been around forever. They know how to make stuff whenever it comes to hiking, mountaineering, climbing. I mean, they are just one of the leading brands out there. People trust La Sportiva, all right? Some serious people trust La Sportiva. And I mean, this particular shoe as well, you can click on the link in the description below. It's an Amazon link, and you will see there are more than 180 5-star reviews. People do like these a lot, and I mean, I agree with all of them. I know why, because they are fantastic. All right. Whenever it comes to the design features, now, usually here I talk about the lacing system. Here, there's really nothing spectacular. You do have your 4 pairs of regular fabric hooks, which most of the times are implemented whenever manufacturers that want to save on weight. There is one pair, well, actually there are 2 pairs. Currently, I'm using only one, but there are 2 pairs of ring hooks here. If you want some extra tight. The strings themselves are pretty good, very light, very, I mean, really not much to the lacing system. Overall, it's pretty good. Now, personally, I do like to have a quick lace system in my trail running shoes, and I think it would be nice to see La Sportiva implementing a quick lace system in their shoes, right? So they have a version with regular lacing system and then with quick lace, or boa. I mean, boa would have been amazing. So La Sportiva, if you guys are watching, here's some idea for you. All right, so let's move on to the criteria number 4, the outsole traction and stability. Now, whenever it comes to the outsole, in order to test the traction, the stability, whenever I do my run and walk, I do that through a variety of different surfaces, starting on older asphalt and then newer tarmac, going to some sand, wet sand, dry sand, wet grass, dry grass, rocky road, trail surface, and then I finish up on some flat, shiny surfaces like marble and tile. Overall, this is very, very good outsole. It is more on the flatter side, so there is not as much of the aggression, which, I mean, I am kind of fine with, but I think it would have been nicer to see just a little bit more aggression. I think would have been better. But overall, it is very nicely balanced. It performs well on pretty much everything, and surprisingly, it performs very well on flat, shiny surfaces as well. Even though this is not advertised as slip resistant or anything like that, it performs very well on shiny surfaces as well. So, La Sportiva, again, great job on the outsole. Fantastic. Now, let's move on to the criteria number 5 very quickly. Temperature. Obviously, there's no point to talk about anything cold because these are, trail running shoes that are not waterproof, not insulated in any way. Wouldn't expect them to keep you warm in a cold weather, obviously, but in a hot weather, which I tested them in, they perform very, very well. I mean, just breathable, light, very good. And of course, even if you do end up sweating in these, not a big deal, because you do have your antibacterial ortholite right here. Let's move on to the criteria number 6 very quickly. Again, sizing, like I said, they do run a little bit on the smaller side. Now, whenever it comes to the sizing, I got a really good advice from one of my professional hiking friends. He said that if you want to prevent that fatigue that you most of the times get from walking for extended periods of time, especially on the trail, especially if the trail goes up and down on the way down, you want at least half a size bigger boot or shoe on you than your regular shoe size. So if your sneakers, dress shoes, whatever, they're size 9, you want a trail running shoe, hiking boot in size 9.5, and that half a size give you a little bit of that extra space, prevents you from your toe smashing into the front of the toe box. And I mean, that is a game changer right there. So these are a little bit on the smaller size, so I would recommend, instead of going half a size bigger, maybe even going the full size bigger, but play around. Again, that's why one of the reasons I do prefer Amazon to literally everything else. The link is in the description below, because you can buy, you can try, and if it doesn't fit you right, just exchange it for a bigger size or a smaller size. Play around with it to find the right size, because I cannot tell you how many times I see people complain on Amazon, on my channel, that they buy boots that are unbelievably comfortable, and I personally know it because I tested them, and then they say, oh, they're not comfortable, and then I start asking them why, and then they explain the reason, and it's because they're wrong size. All right, so don't do that. Let's move on to the criteria number 7, the balance of application. So basically, if this really was your ultimate survival shoe, right, not boot, shoe, and something bad happened and you had to walk, run, fight, climb, everything that is necessary to survive, would these be good? Personally, honestly, if I myself ended up with a trail running shoe when something bad happened, or something bad happened and I had, dress shoes, some sneakers, and this trail running shoes, or trail running shoes in general, I would wish for them to be these. All right, because I love these that much. They're everything I personally would need in a trail running shoe. I mean, these just moved on immediately to the top 5 best trail running shoes that I've ever reviewed on this channel, and I've reviewed a lot of them so far. I mean, I reviewed much more boots compared to trail running shoes, but these are just absolutely fantastic. Great job, La Sportiva. I mean, if you're planning to buy this, not for your survival, but just for trail running or for, mountain running, as these are advertised, you probably already noticed that one, you definitely not gonna regret it. Just get them in the right size. Absolutely fantastic. And let's move on to the very last criterion here that is worth mentioning, kind of important one, and might turn off some people. It's the price. Yes, these are a little bit on the pricier side. Currently $130 on Amazon. Again, the link is in the description below. If you're interested, save it. And sometimes I see prices go down on Amazon. Sometimes they have random deals, and sometimes some sizes, some color variations, which they do have a few different colors. These, if you don't like yellow, which I absolutely love, if this was the one I wanted to pick, this is the color I would go to, just because, if you're getting a fancy trail running shoe, you might as well get it in some weird fancy color, because why not, right? Let everybody know that you're serious about what you're doing. $130, definitely on the pricier side. Yes, I agree, definitely on the pricier side. There's a lot of good competition out there, like for example from Salomon or Loa, out there in that price range. However, with everything that these provide, it's really, I mean, it's hard. It's gonna be a tough choice, guys. Seriously, it's gonna be a tough choice if you put these, for example, against Salomon XA Pro, 3D V8, especially their newer version. Absolutely fantastic trail running shoe. Tough choice. So I leave that choice up to you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you have any requests for reviews, I am always looking out for those. All of them go on my special to-do list, and if I come across something that I get a chance to get, I get that as a priority. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was Firearms of America, and I'll see you guys in the next video.